America's Game of the Week. It's kickoff weekend, and we get set for what should be a fun matchup here today with the Carolina Panthers hosting the Dallas Cowboys. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck. The Hall of Famer Troy Aikman is coming right up. Let's talk about the Cowboys. 9-7 a year ago, 6-2 on the road. Changes all over the place. Des Bryant is gone. Jason Witten is now a broadcaster. They have a new kicker. They still have Jason Garrett. They still have Dak Prescott. They still have Ezekiel Elliott running the football. They also have a very good defensive line, Troy Aikman, and that defensive line for Dallas is going to be coming after Cam Newton for Carolina, and Cam's got a new offensive coordinator in Norv Turner.
He sure does, and my experience with Norv Turner, the best game day play caller that I worked with, but it's not just about Norv being here that's got Cam Newton really excited. One, he's got his health. You remember last year he fought through that shoulder injury a good part of the season after off-season surgery. The biggest thing, however, is his depth at the wide receiver position. Big plays in the passing game have been hard to come by the last couple of seasons. They've got some speed on the outside. They feel like today they can take advantage of some of those one-on-one looks the Cowboys present.
Well, what did Cam Newton feel like when he found out Norv Turner was his offensive coordinator? With more, here's Aaron.
Joe, Cam Newton told me he was nervous, and it's Troy Aikman's fault. No, he said the biggest reason why is he started doing his research on Norv Turner, and he said when you coach guys like Troy Aikman, Phillip Rivers, Alex Smith, he was so worried Norv would be set in his ways, but it's been the complete opposite. Norv telling him, you don't like it, don't worry about it, we'll take it away, but you need to start trusting everybody around you. Don't feel like you have to do everything all by yourself. I'll play meteorologist. Rain started to pick up a little bit, but the good news, it's cooled down a tiny bit on the field, Joe.
Yeah, and cool is a big deal for these players that, well, let's face it, the starters don't play much in the preseason, and so their endurance will be tested here in week one. There's been a lot to talk about during the offseason, but finally we're back to football, and we are glad you're with us today on Fox. Deontay Thompson, who did not play in the preseason, takes a knee, and out to the 25 comes Dak Prescott. He wasn't pleased, Troy, with his season at all a year ago. Statistically not horrible, but he tried to do too much.
Yeah, and he admits as much, and I think there were a lot of other circumstances around him that kept him from playing better. Certainly the ongoing saga of Ezekiel Elliott and when his suspension was going to take place. They lose their left tackle last year. That certainly led to some of the struggles, but I think he got away from some of the fundamental things that he was doing as a rookie, and like you said, just tried to do too much.
Handoff to Elliott over the right side, and he goes nowhere. Jermaine Carter was in there for Carolina, and as you look at this offense, you have a rookie, Troy, at left guard, and you have a vet at center in Joe Looney, but not Travis Frederick. That is one of the biggest injuries, not talked about a lot, but an absence across the NFL right now.
Well, you're talking about arguably the best center in football. Joe Looney, he's a solid veteran, but he's not Travis Frederick.
Second down and 10, play action pass caught out on the edge, Austin. And the former St. Louis, then LA Ram, Tavon Austin, with a flag down on the field, gets 9.
They might have got a block in the back, and right out of the box, a high snap from Joe
Illegal
Looney.
block in the back, number 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, still second down.
That's a 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle, Tyron Smith.
Tyron Smith, you're able to do these types of things with a guy as athletic as he is at the left tackle position, but there's the push in the back against James Bradbury, and what looked like was going to be a nice gain for the Cowboys backs him up second and long.
Back at their own 14. To Elliott looking for blocks, not there. Kuechly is. And the best linebacker in the game, Luke Kuechly, makes the stop. 3rd and 21.
It's the fastest group of linebackers that really we've seen in the NFL. And Luke Kuechly, he can roam the sidelines. It's hard to get outside against this group. You know, Joe, you're talking about this offensive line and the rookie Connor Williams starting there at left guard to play against this defensive front in your first NFL game. That's a little daunting, and to do it without a guy like Travis Frederick. I mean, he misses Travis Frederick more than anybody.
And now a delay of game. This has been a very poor first possession for the Cowboys.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Hey, the preseason now is
Reset
almost
the game clock. 13-19. 13-19 on the game clock.
And we've gotten to the point where the starters, Elliott doesn't play and Prescott barely plays, and then you know you're worried about injury, but you can't just flip a switch and come out here week one and just think you're going to be good.
Well, especially when you're on the road and you're playing the Carolina Panthers. And Dak Prescott, talk about a guy who hadn't played much football. He hasn't played in over 3 weeks because of the time off in the last 2 preseason games.
3rd and 26, and in essence, before the punt, they punt and hand it off to Ezekiel Elliott. A gain of 4, and that's exactly how Ron Rivera and Eric Washington, the new defensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, hoped they would start.
Well, this defense, of course, when you're as physical as they are, and they prey on the negative plays, and there's Eric Washington, who took over as defensive coordinator, replacing Steve Wilks. Eric Washington, he's not new to this defense. He's been here since Ron Rivera arrived in 2011.
A beautiful punt by Jones, and a fair catch by Demir Bird. Well, there are plenty of new coaches. Carolina, with their coordinators, Mike Shula, Steve Wilks, Thomas McGahee, they've all moved on. Norv Turner takes over the offense. Eric Washington, who coached the defensive line, is now the coordinator, and Chase Blackburn, longtime linebacker in the league, is now the special teams coordinator.
I got a chance to spend some time during the OTAs with the Carolina Panthers, and I walked away from those 3 days thoroughly impressed with this coaching staff for Carolina. A lot of veteran coaches, but also some good young up-and-comers. They are a well-coached football team, and they have been for quite some time.
That was a 55-yard punt by Jones, and this is McCaffrey out on the edge, and that's well played. Cam Newton's quarterback rating, if you combine the numbers over the previous 2 years, has been terrible. 78.2, but he wins. His quarterback rating better than only Brock Osweiler and Ryan Fitzpatrick, who had a career-type day today for the Bucs in New Orleans. 4-touchdown day. 2nd and 10. Newton keeps. Down he goes. Play made by DeMarcus Lawrence, who's playing on a 1-year franchise tag, $17 million deal after 14.5 sacks a year ago.
Well, what a year he had, and the sacks that he had, and that's the thing that grabs everybody's attention. But what we just saw on his ability to bring a guy like Cam Newton to the ground in the open field speaks to what he has meant to this defense also in run defense.
Now 3rd and 10. The left hand of Devin Funchess, and it's 3 and out for the Panthers. Funchess says my fault, but that throw looked a little bit off, and now there's a late flag.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer, number 90 defense. Low hit on the quarterback. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, a huge penalty against DeMarcus Lawrence. Let's take a look.
That's Darrell Williams, number 60, who a lot of people thought was going to miss today, and you know you just can't go into the quarterback low. And even though it appeared that DeMarcus Lawrence got cut and was not trying to do anything vicious, obviously a very costly penalty to Dallas after what appeared to be a 3 and out.
So now 1st down out across their own 45 at the 47. Funchess. Another flag is down, and this one appears to be against Carolina.
Holding, number 72. Offense, 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Moten, who is the new starter out at left tackle.
And Moten, it looked like he was getting some help from his left guard, Van Roten. Here's Moten, but here's the move inside. Like he's going to get a little bit of help, and yet he allows the inside pressure. That was a good call, and Moten is a guy who didn't play a lot last year, and when Darrell Williams got injured, he was playing right tackle, and then all of a sudden Matt Khalil gets hurt. They move him to the left side. Had a great preseason. They feel he can hold up in today's game, but that wasn't good.
1st and 20. Pass is caught by the rookie DJ Moore in a minimal gain. Carissa Thompson, hello. Give us a game break.
Oh, well, hello there. We're going to Denver, Joe. After an Earl Thomas interception, Russell Wilson's able to find rookie tight end Will Dissly for a 15-yard score. Seahawks up early in the Mile High City. Joe?
An Earl Thomas interception. A current Seahawk, possibly a future Cowboy, either now or next year. We'll talk about that as we go. 2nd and 17. Newton keeps, breaks the tackle, makes a move. 3rd and short coming up. That's what makes him great. A gain of 15.
Well, this is pretty good design by North Turner. They get McCaffrey. He's going across. You get action then with the linebackers. Opens up the middle, and this is an area of Cam Newton that you don't see the other quarterbacks do. How many times over the years have we seen Cam Newton keep the ball and
Number
run
65
between the tackles? And when you're as big as he is at 250 pounds, you know, he feels pretty confident about his ability to do that. Nice run.
Did Norv encourage you to do that a lot?
Not once.
3rd down and 2. Did you like if Norv encouraged you to do what we just saw on 3rd down and 2, 1st down?
Well, I think the big thing, Joe, when Norv got the job was, okay, well, how much is Cam going to continue to run the football? And in fact, in talking with Norv Turner, he says, we've got every run in the playbook that we've had over the years, and then we've added even a few more because of Norv doing some scouting and looking at what some other teams were doing and some concepts that he liked. So Cam Newton is not at all being discouraged from running the football in this offense.
So on 1st down, Newton says, I'll just do it again. Breaking tackles. And another. Making a statement. .29 yards for number 1.
You just have to be disciplined when you play against this team. And here's Sean Lee, and he should be scraping. Instead, he gets caught up in the action. He thinks that McCaffrey has the ball. Nobody comes off the edge for contain.
Off a career high 754 rush yards a year ago. 29 yards, and now C.J. Anderson, the former Bronco, bottled up. A gain of 1. Well, they've had injury and they've had shuffling on the offensive line for the Carolina Panthers. Ryan Khalil is healthy. Matt Khalil is not, as Troy talked about. So I see marketing potential for the Moten and Van Roten show on the left side of this offense. And McCaffrey will be featured more as a runner, we're told, than he was a year ago.
Well, if they don't play better than they did on that hold, Moten and Roten isn't going to get off the ground.
2nd and 9. Play action. Pass is caught out of bounds by Ian Thomas, the rookie tight end from Indiana. A gain of 7.
And I think, Cam, as a quarterback, when you come out, you take your first read. His first read was to the rookie Ian Thomas, but had he have held it a little more, boy, he had Greg Olsen coming in behind. You're going to see 88 there on the 2nd level, and had a chance to put it in there. But Ian Thomas, Is he a fourth-round pick that they
Number 65
really like
is
out of
reported as
Indiana?
eligible. 65 is eligible.
He's going to get a lot of action here this afternoon.
Amini Silatolu is an extra offensive lineman out there for Carolina. On 3rd and 2. Handoff. McCaffrey lost the ball. Dallas has it. And an early takeaway for the Cowboys. A red zone getaway for Christian McCaffrey.
Recovered by Dallas.
On a hit by Daniel Ross. Lawrence picked it up. No score on America's Game of the Week. Had some lightning in the area earlier. It's turned out to be a nice day. Aerial coverage brought to you by State Farm. Glad you're with us today with the Cowboys and the Panthers. Early turnover by Christian McCaffrey. Fumbling on a play that started at the Dallas 5. Play action. Prescott nowhere to go. And throws it to Ron Rivera on the sideline. Let's go back to the fumble.
Yeah, Daniel Ross right in the middle. You're going to see the way he's able to bounce around and get a little penetration and makes a great play right there on Christian McCaffrey, knocking the ball loose and stalling this drive. There's a look at some of his quickness and ability to avoid the block and still make a play on the football.
Cowboys got him a year ago off the practice squad of the Chiefs. 2nd and 10. Play action again. Pass caught. Beasley out across the 20. And a first down. A little warm down there, Aaron, huh?
Oh, yeah. We thought this weather system would cool things off. It is about 90 degrees, guys, over on the field. DeMarcus Lawrence coming over. Here on the Dallas sideline, the sun is just beating down on them. And Troy, as you know, I know temperature's been hot in Dallas, but they've been inside all but one day, correct, during the week?
It's a great point, Aaron. They were in Southern California for training camp, and they've only practiced outside once. That was this past Wednesday since returning to Texas. Week 1 conditioning is always a factor, especially this heat that they're having here in Carolina.
On first down, pass is out of the reach of the rookie Gallup, and a flag comes in. Gallup, a 3rd-round pick out of Colorado State.
Prior to the pass, holding number 41, defense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
The old captain, they got him for a hold.
Yeah, there's the contact, and then once it continues, balls in the air, there's still contact after 5 yards. And Captain Munnerlin's kind of an interesting story. Last year, very frustrated, was not getting to play much, and the reason was because Shaq Thompson basically served as the 3rd linebacker and the nickelback. This year with Thomas Davis serving a 4-game suspension to start the year, he's going to be relied on heavily early.
Elliott says, let me get into the action. He's been bottled up. Well, when you talk about good defenses, this is a team consistently under Ron Rivera that's in the conversation. And Troy, they've gone 20 consecutive games without allowing a 100-yard day by a back in the opposition. They know how to play the run.
Yeah, they know how to play it, and they've got the players to play it. And that's the biggest part of it. They make very few mistakes, but they've got great players in that front seven.
Pass is caught. That's Swain, and the tight end has got a first down. So Jason Witten is gone. The 11-time Pro Bowl tight end who had over 1,150 career receptions. Jeff Swain is left behind. He's got 9 career catches, now 10. And the other 3 tight ends on the roster, 0. So there is a big hole at tight end, an opportunity for somebody. Including that guy, Blake Jarwin, who Dak Prescott told us is the best athlete at the position. Elliott reverses course. Gets 3. Vernon Butler with the tackle. They say Zeke is in the best shape. In 3 years he's been a Dallas Cowboy. And focused after getting last year's situation behind him, suspended for 6 games. Still almost had a 1,000-yard season. But the vets have noticed a different number 21.
They sure have. And you know, he says he's playing with a chip on his shoulder this year and motivated to show everybody what he missed out on last season and show that he's the back that he was when he came in as a rookie.
2nd and 3. Pass is behind Elliott. Well, we welcome in a new audience. You just picked up a hold here as you dip into our game. It's against the Dallas Cowboys. Here's the call.
Holding number 77, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
It's already 2 penalties on Tyron Smith. So we welcome in Tennessee, Miami audience. Here's the big play not long ago with the Panthers marching toward the end zone, a play that started at the Dallas 5. Fumble forced by Daniel Ross, recovered by DeMarcus Lawrence, and now the Cowboys have it.
Well, that's already Dallas's 4th penalty in the ball game, 3rd offensively, and you get into these 2nd and long situations, which happened to them on their 1st possession, and against this defense, they're really tough to overcome against any defense, especially this one.
Rod Smith carries right side, and he's got a little burst. Luke Kuechly is serenaded for the tackle after a gain of 5. 3rd and 12.
Well, Luke Kuechly, I don't know that you can say enough good things about him. And I mentioned the time that I spent with Carolina. I came away after seeing him in the film room and in the weight room and on the practice field and all the things. I didn't think I could walk away being any more impressed with Luke Kuechly than I already was coming in. And what a remarkable guy. And you know, right now, folks, enjoy it because you're watching 2 of the best talents at linebacker between him and Sean Lee for the Cowboys.
Pass caught by Beasley on the edge. Gets 1 block, but not enough. It'll be 4th down, and there's Kuechly again. Troy, Luke Kuechly, 3 or 4 more years like this. I mean, you're talking about a Hall of Fame candidate. He's just got to stay healthy. And when you talk to offensive game planners, they say it's virtually impossible to scheme something that he hasn't studied, that he can't diagnose, and to get him to take a bad step.
He's amazing. After every practice, he'd be over there in North Turner's ear talking to him about some of the new looks that he presented and why he showed them. And he's awfully good, and he's pretty good at picking good restaurants, too.
Back at the 5, Demir Bird. Pretty good return. Little sketchy catching a punt inside the 10. Bird did, and after a 50-yard punt, returned it 13 yards. Still no score in Charlotte. Troy, do you know what over $2.25 billion will get you?
It'll get you a logo on the 50-yard line.
It'll get you the Carolina Panthers. There's David Tepper. They're excited about what he's brought here as owner, the new owner of the Carolina Panthers. And you saw the logo at midfield. The NFL shield was there. The Panthers logo is there now. Here's Olsen. One of the best in the business, Greg Olsen, who missed 9 games a year ago. Gets 14. And it was a lot of fans that actually wanted to have that logo at midfield. David Tepper and the organization listened. And for a guy who grew up in Pittsburgh, and David Tepper, he is fired up about owning the Carolina Panthers. David, about to turn 61, was 13 when our Terry Bradshaw made his debut at quarterback for the Steelers. Newton nowhere to go. Flag is down. Pass is caught by Funchess, but there's a flag back where Newton threw it.
Holding number 70, offense, 10-yard penalty, still 1st down.
That is the 3-time Pro Bowler Trey Turner.
So we're seeing some of the rust from both these teams with the penalties. There's number 70 right there with the hold on Tyrone Crawford. Dallas played that awfully well. What Carolina has done, we saw the pass to Greg Olsen a minute ago that was a nice gain. They're going some 2-back sets, hard play action, and then trying to get the linebackers up and get some matchups with Greg Olsen and some of the others. The last play, they went 2-back set. They motion out McCaffrey. They're trying to get him on a shallow crosser, but Dallas's linebackers played it very well, which is one of the reasons why we saw Cam not get the ball out as quickly.
Newton keeps, pass is deflected. Taco Charlton was out there on the edge. I believe he got a piece of it. And with 50 seconds left in the first quarter and nothing on the scoreboard, it's 2nd and 20, and there's Chris Richard, who is the former defensive coordinator in Seattle. He was there guiding the Legion of Boom.
Got a good group to work with, and he's got a good young group here in Dallas, but we're seeing his influence here in this game already. They like to come up and play a lot of press coverage on the outside, a lot of one-on-one looks with the safety in the middle. But so far, for the most part, Carolina has not been able to take advantage.
Newton hangs in, throws high, and caught by Olsen. 19 yards to Greg Olsen.
Well, there was definitely contact at the top of that route, but yet no flag. See, as Greg Olsen releases, there's a collision at the top of it. That's why he was as open as he was. There's Kayvon Frazier, number 35. He's having to play a little more today with the injury to Xavier Woods.
3rd down and 1. Newton gets the edge. Easy first down. Damian Wilson, the linebacker, he got caught.
Yeah, he did. And you cannot be looking into the backfield. You have to play your responsibilities. You're going to see Damian Wilson, 57. He crashes hard. He didn't know where the ball is.
End of the first quarter.
Somebody against this quarterback has always got to be in containment.
Cam has already rushed for 59. Let's go to the second. Along with producer Richie Zients, director Rich Russo, Joe, Troy, and Aaron. Second quarter, no score. Newton has rushed for 59, thrown for 40. Here's McCaffrey right side. Gets smacked, and that's Sean Lee who delivered the last hit. DeMarcus Lawrence was there at the beginning. No gain.
Well, he's almost the equal of Luke Kuechly, and I think the only thing that's really separating those two guys has been the number of injuries that he has had that's forced him to miss so much time, and then quite simply the lack of success in January. If this Cowboys team was playing in the playoffs the way that Carolina has most years, everyone knows who Sean Lee is, but they'd be definitely talking about him the same way that everyone around the nation talks about Kuechly.
So 2nd and 10, backing up as he throws. The pass is incomplete. And great coverage there by Kayvon Frazier on McCaffrey.
3rd down.
Here's Carissa Thompson with a game break.
Thanks, Joe. So 21-21 OT in Cleveland. Steelers driving. Ben Roethlisberger hit from behind, intercepted. So a few plays later, Cleveland's got a chance to win their first game since 2016. What happens? Blocked field goal. First week 1 tie since 1971. That one hurts. Joe?
Those beer coolers were cracking open, and then a blocked field goal.
That's still, I think that's still a win for Cleveland.
3rd down and 10. Pass incomplete. Everyone looking for a flag, and there isn't one. Jarius Wright was covered by Anthony Brown. It's 4th down.
Well, they bring both linebackers. Jalen Smith, McCaffrey tries going low on him. He's able to hurdle him, and then following right in behind is Sean Lee. That's a great job by Jalen Smith avoiding the low block, even though he still wound up going to the ground. But Sean Lee just finishes him off, and that's an area for Rod Marinelli that we've not seen a lot of over the years. He reluctantly likes to blitz, but Jalen Smith feels like that's something that he does very well. One of the strengths that he has. They dialed it up, and it was successful.
This is the first charge timeout. Dallas.
Dallas has to use a timeout as they're getting ready to field a punt with Cole Beasley back waiting around the 10. And we'll be right back after this from Verizon. Well, with the timeout, we'll have the punt coming here from Pilardi. End over end. Beasley with a fair catch. Just short of the 15. said everybody that was here, Richie and Rich and Aaron and Troy. I missed the guy who's the most important to Troy and me, and that's Mike Pereira. Hello.
Troy asked me when the last time I was without a vest. I think it was my first communion. I think that's when it was.
Hey, has the new helmet rule come into play much here in week one? We heard all the conversation about that during the offseason.
You know, it has not. You know, from what I heard back in our studios, in all the games so far, only one has been called. The hit by Sean Williams that led to the ejection was a foul last year, so that really doesn't qualify.
Prescott with a blitz off the edge, and Shaq Thompson got there for the sack.
Hello. I tell you, that's tough because they're running counter action in the backfield, and it's got Ezekiel going that way, and he's responsible for the backside pressure from Shaq Thompson. You'd like to be able to see that as a running back, abort the fake, get over and make the block. He sees it a little late. Shaq Thompson, another one of those fast linebackers for Carolina, gets home.
2nd and 17. Cowboys have been in 2nd and 3rd and long, seeming the entire half so far. They hand to Elliott, and he's able to push up to the 13. Hey, how is Emmitt Smith in pass protection, picking up blitzes? I mean, we know he's the all-time #1 rusher, but how is he at that phase?
Well, he was excellent. I mean, excellent. That's something that nobody really talks about with Emmitt Smith. He's a 3-down back. Well, he's a 3-down back. Ezekiel is, and he's a good blocker too. He really is. He's good at the one thing we've not seen a lot of from Ezekiel is his ability to catch the football out of the backfield. He did a lot of it at Ohio State. It's what they liked about him. I would expect to see more of that this year, but he is an excellent blocker. He just recognized it too late.
3rd and 11, trying to set up a screen, and that off the hands of Rod Smith. And a dangerous moment for the Cowboys as it falls to the turf, and the offense has not gotten anything going yet.
Well, Lyle Collins, the right tackle, he gets pressure. Dak Prescott does. Here's Lyle Collins here. And this defensive front, they're flexing their muscle a little bit against this Cowboys offensive line, and we've seen some errant throws from Dak Prescott as a result.
3 possessions for Dallas. Now 4 punts, but this is the 3rd, and there were 2 3-and-outs. Good return by Bird, and Bird ripped to the turf at the 35. Rod Smith made the tackle after a 51-yard punt. It's a 30-yard return by Demir Bird, and he almost broke it.
Ducking and weaving and finding himself a little bit of a crease, and that's a great job by him and an excellent job by those blocking out in front. But yeah, he was close, but a great return to set up this offense.
Takes the ball to the Dallas 35. And it's just a net of 21 yards on that change of possession. Hand off to McCaffrey. Thomas in on the stop. Let's go down to Aaron Andrews.
Joe, Greg Olsen missing from the sidelines, missing from the field. Carolina saying he is in the locker room. They're not giving us word what is wrong with him. Of course, he was on the injury report, questionable with a back injury. We met with him yesterday, told us everything was fine. I'll let you know when I hear anything.
Yeah, he was a late addition to that injury report. That popped up about a day ago. That's obviously a huge weapon who missed 9 games last year with a broken foot that he suffered in week 2. 2nd and 5. McCaffrey again. 3rd and short coming up.
Well, we're seeing McCaffrey now a few times, and especially on these last 2 plays, that he has run between the tackles. And at first glance, you'd look at him and you'd say, I'm not sure he can do it. He's not little. He's just short, but he is built, and he's put on about 10 pounds of muscle from last offseason, and he's going to do more of that type of stuff between the tackles. He's a very physical runner, and he's going to carry more of the load. Last year, he split carries with Jonathan Stewart. This year, he's going to be getting 60 to 70% of the carries, and they hope to get the ball in his hands 25 to 30 times a game.
Timeout taken by Cam Newton.
This is the first Sharks timeout.
Carolina 2 for 4 on third down so far. 3rd and 2 when we come back. Back to Bank of America Stadium, downtown Charlotte. No score, second quarter. 10:52 left in the half, 3rd down and 2.
There's Leighton Bender as their first-round pick. He's getting some time spelling Jalen Smith here on 3rd down.
Newton throws, falling, and somehow making the catch is Jarius Wright. He was going to the ground and made the grab for a first down.
Well, that was a dangerous throw, but yet I understand why Cam threw it the way he did. As you're going to see, the ball was supposed to be on the inside to Jarius Wright, but Cam recognizes coverage is coming from the inside, and it would be dangerous with Brown being there in coverage, and somehow he's able to haul that in. That's a pretty remarkable catch.
On first down, pass over the middle, tipped and nearly picked. Sean Lee tipped it, and on the back end, Jeff Heath almost came away with a second takeaway for Dallas.
Look at Sean Lee right here and the way that he reads Cam Newton. Now he's got to know what's behind him without looking. So all of a sudden he realizes, hey, he can cut back, and he does. And that's a great job by Sean Lee of reading the quarterback and working back into it and making a play on the ball.
Lee's got great hands. He's very proud of him. 13 interceptions in his career, which is second in the league to Luke Kuechly. Here's McCaffrey, a nice run, and a first down. 13 yards for Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I talked about dynamite being in a small package as far as McCaffrey goes. Watch at the end of this play when you've got Sean Lee, he's reeling because he's got Trey Turner blocking him, but yet he lowers his shoulder on Sean Lee right there and just keeps churning. He's tough, and he got a lot of balls last year, over 80 receptions. A lot of that was because of Olsen being hurt. But he's going to get a lot more carries this season.
Second time in the red zone for Carolina. McCaffrey down to the 4. DeMarcus Lawrence on the stop. Second and goal. Here's Carissa with a game break.
Redskins up 7-0, Joe. Adrian Peterson making his Redskins debut, scores his 100th rushing touchdown of his career, now tied with Marshall Faulk and Sean Alexander for 7th all-time. Redskins up 14-0. Joe?
Weird to see him in a Redskins uniform. Weird to see him wearing number 26. They're happy they've got him, especially after losing Geis.
Cam Newton like to have Greg Olsen here.
Man hurts in a tight end. Cam keeps, Cam scores.
Throughout this first half now already, I'm a little surprised with Rod Marinelli as defensive coordinator that there's been so much confusion. There's Tank Lawrence, and then you've got, he should be scraping off the edge, Sean Lee, but instead he gets caught again going inside, and it just opens up that lane for Cam Newton, and somebody has to be there.
That for Newton. 55 career rushing touchdowns, the most by a quarterback in NFL history. And then he makes a new friend. How pumped up is that kid? 7-0 Carolina. 35-yard touchdown drive for the Panthers, 30 of which came on the ground, and it was set up by the Demir Bird 30-yard punt return. The Cowboys have done zip on offense. They have a report upcoming on Greg Olsen. Deontay Thompson waiting for the kick from Gano. Gano led the league in touchbacks a year ago. He blasted that one through the end zone. Aaron, not good news for Mr. Greg Olsen.
No, not at all, Joe. You're going to see right here, he gets tangled up with Kayvon Frazier, steps on his foot. He is out for this game with a foot injury. No word if it's the same foot, of course, that he missed time with last year. That was a right foot. You mentioned it. He missed 9 games. Carolina PR just had no word if it was the same foot, Joe.
Yeah, you just can't speculate, even though he did step with the right foot there awkwardly. So we'll wait on that, but that's a big loss. Week 1. Austin gets it, tries to make a move and gets smothered. Mike Adams, the 37-year-old safety, is the first one in there. Gain of 1.
Well, they're trying to get Tavon Austin going and get this offense going. Too many penalties, too many second and third and longs, and you just kind of wonder, Joe, who's going to be that guy who's going to step up. In the past, it would be Des Bryant, it'd be Jason Witten, and they don't have that guy right now on this team. They've got some good receivers, a collection of depth, but who's going to be the one who emerges? And they could sure benefit if someone would right now.
Second down and 9. Prescott steps up and down he goes. It'll go down as a sack, and it was Kawann Short.
Well, it was Kawann Short, and guess who he's working against? He's working against the rookie Connor Williams, and that's tough duty right there. There's Kawann Short, and they're able, by alignment, to get the one-on-one. You can see that they're trying to get help from Joe Looney, but Kawann Short takes an outside release. The tackle's tied up, and so he's one-on-one on the rookie, and Kawann Short, one of the best in the business.
Third down and 11. Good catch on the snap by Prescott. The pass incomplete. And the target was Allen Hurns, the former Jaguar. And the offense, as Prescott kind of limps gingerly off the field, is stalled.
Well, Allen Hurns is the big free agent acquisition from Jacksonville. Number 17 there. He's had injuries the last couple of years, but he doesn't have speed. And so there was contact at the top, but he's not going to threaten anybody down the field, sitting on the route, just nowhere to really put that ball.
Chris Jones had a great year last year. Bird already has one good return. Nothing here. LP Ladouceur, the long snapper downfield to make the stop. Tough start for the Dallas Cowboys on the road on America's Game of the Week. 7-zip, Carolina. Seven 0 Carolina here at home, and starting this drive at their own 30 with 7 left in the first half. Panthers have lost Greg Olsen, and there was movement by Carolina before the snap.
Ball start, number 82, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
It's Chris Manhertz, who had foot surgery himself in June. He cleared his physical, and now here he is. They lost Ed Dixon, who was pretty good filling in for the injured Greg Olsen a year ago. The free agent went to Seattle. They're down to Manhertz and the rookie Ian Thomas.
And Ian Thomas, we've seen him already, but he's the one who they feel can replace Dixon, and now he's more important than ever with Olsen down.
Newton, McCaffrey, and in space, Jalen Smith initially couldn't bring down McCaffrey, but slowed him up, and Damian Wilson cleaned up. Well, the last 2 times they've played, they've been classics. What do they have in store for part 3? USC, Texas, Saturday, 8 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Still one of the best football games I ever saw was the one at the Rose Bowl, that matchup with Mac Brown winning his first national title. Vince Young,
Reggie Bush. Trading blows, second down and 8. Newton keeps. This time Dallas steps up. And Jeff Heath, the safety, comes up to make the stop That's a play they've struggled with so far.
Yeah, one of the few times they've been able to contain Cam Newton, who already has over 60 yards rushing here in this first half. And you know, you always worry about a quarterback carrying the football and the punishment they take, but you know, Cam Newton has said that the hits he takes in the pocket as a passer are far worse than the ones that he takes as a runner when he sees him coming.
On 3rd down and 7. This one deep and incomplete for Funchess. Yeah, with all the punishment, Troy, that Cam Newton is subjected to because of the hits and the run, he's only missed 3 games in 7 years.
Yeah, no, he's trust me, he can take it. I think Norv in that film session tomorrow, he's going to be ripping into old Devin Funchess. You see the route separation between he and Torrey Smith. They were on top of each other, and the corner's doing a good job for Dallas on that play, jamming Funchess and not giving him a good release off the ball.
Tavon Austin waiting for the punt. Fair catch. And Austin hauls it in. The 17th. Well, Dak's in a little pain over on his sideline. Back to work he goes. There's Paul Alexander, who spent over 2 decades in Cincinnati with the offensive line. One of the coaching additions here for Jason Garrett, Sanjay Lal, coaching the wide receivers, and Kellen Moore, now the quarterback's coach for Dak Prescott. Pass is well thrown and caught by the rookie Gallup. Cowboys have only 3 first downs, Troy, and it's the 3rd time in 5 drives that they've started inside their own 20. There's Kellen Moore, who just came off the field a year ago.
He's a new quarterback coach. Prescott is happy to have him. There's Sanjay Lal, who has done a good job seemingly in the offseason with these wide receivers. The guy who they didn't think was going to be back at the end of last season was the offensive coordinator, Scott Linehan, but instead they replaced basically everybody else on that staff. Linehan remains. This is an important drive right here for the Cowboys.
Pass is caught for the 1st down. And that's Jeff Swain.
You think about it, Joe, they have not done anything in this first half offensively, and the defense is holding up. I mean, they've given up some plays, but it's still just a 7-0 ball game. And when you look at the clock and winding down to 4.5 minutes, had they not done anything with this drive, or if they give it right back to Carolina here shortly, gives them time on the clock to maybe come away with points before the half, they get the ball to start the second half as well.
Ezekiel Elliott has not been a factor at all. And on 1st down, he gets 3. First 4 possessions all resulted in punts. And you see the 3 and out. So trying to extend this drive and get some kind of traction. You saw Jason Garrett in his 8th full year. Took over midway 2010. He's only been to the playoffs twice. Pressure on him. High snap, fake toss, underneath, swing, well played. Mike Adams was not fooled at all. No gain, 3rd and 7.
Trying to misdirect with the speed of this Carolina defense and get them over pursuing, come back. Maybe you can take advantage of that, but Mike Adams, this guy is really something at 37 years old, had an excellent camp. He's one of the more physical safeties, but I think he had a good preseason covering guys as well. Right now, he's right here on Blake Jarwin.
This is the shortest 3rd down attempt for Dallas in the half, 3rd and 7. Prescott throws, pass is short for Blake Jarwin. Wide open and underthrown.
Oh my gosh, you just don't get many opportunities like this. Initially it looked like Prescott could have kept it and just ran for the 1st down, but you're going to see how they just turned Blake Jarwin loose. 89, he was on. You see how they turn him loose in the seam with the safety in the middle, and Prescott just not able to get enough on it. That's a missed opportunity there.
Jarwin was that close to his first catch. Here's another booming punt. Moore with a flag down, fields it inside the 10, and the rookie is out across the 20. DJ Moore, who was the first-round pick, starred at Maryland, 17 receiving touchdowns there. Gets to return the punt, and we'll get the call here in a moment from Walt Anderson. Right now a 56-yard punt and a 15-yard return.
During the kick, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 30 of the kicking team went out of bounds and did not immediately attempt to return inbounds. That's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
So the penalties keep piling up for the Dallas Cowboys, and a penalty on Anthony Brown.
Yeah, once you get knocked out of bounds like that, you've got to immediately get back into the field of play, and he didn't. So that was a good call there. And then you're going to see Blake Jarwin here and how they turn him loose in the zone coverage as he comes off the ball. And look how the field opens up for Prescott, where he could have had a chance to probably pick that up with his feet and just could not get it out there enough. And you just don't get a lot of opportunities like that in any game.
Well, the ground game for Jason Garrett's Cowboys isn't doing anything with Ezekiel Elliott. And so far, Dak Prescott has had a rough first half. C.J. Anderson in the backfield.
Well, now you worry with Carolina with so much time left what they might be able to do before the half.
Here's Anderson. What a bounce to the edge. Jones on the stop. A nice gain on first down of 7 by one of 9 runners a year ago to get over 1,000 yards, and he finished strong for the Denver Broncos.
I think some people were a little surprised that Denver let him go, but a good pickup by Carolina. Nice change up to McCaffrey.
Panthers hurry it up. Anderson's got a first down. Cowboys weren't set, and there was some confusion defensively, and Damian Wilson made the tackle after a 5-yard gain, and that will take us to the 2-minute warning. Opportunity for Carolina. Panthers defense playing great. Cam Newton has a touchdown. 7-0 game, 2 minutes and a half. The Panthers, one of 3 teams from the NFC South to make the playoffs a year ago. They won 7 of their last 9 to get there. They were 11-5. Trying to start this season 1-0, leading by 7. Setting up a screen. Pass is caught by Wright. Breaks a couple of tackles. Ball is out. Panthers think they have it. It's on their sideline, and they do. Good catch and run by Wright, but then he lost the handle.
Yeah, it really was, and a great block by Ryan Khalil that sprung him, and Sean Lee was there with an opportunity to make a tackle, and Jarius Wright, he runs strong, he's able to get through it, but then the ball gets stripped by Chidobe Awuzie.
Timeout is taken here by
Randy Gregory's down.
Yeah, by Dallas. Randy Gregory was injured, so the Cowboys have to call a timeout to get him off the field, and we'll be right back after this from Verizon. Gregory, who was a second-round pick in 2015, he's played only 2 games over the last 2 years because of repeated violations of the NFL's substance abuse program and their rules. That is how he got injured, and was woozy coming off the field. He had 4 and 10 game suspensions in 2016, missed all of last year. He's a freakish athlete. He deals with anxiety, depression, self-medicates, and that has led him into what is now the most advanced stage of the substance abuse program in the NFL. Here's Newton overshooting McCaffrey. And Troy, just to finish that story, there was a report today by Adam Schefter that Randy Gregory may face another suspension after what he said was a reported relapse in August. The Cowboys are denying that's the case. Gregory is frustrated and saying that people are making more out of the situation than what's actually there, but time will tell.
Yeah, it's anybody's guess. I certainly respect Adam Schefter and his reporting, but I think this is something that the Cowboys are going to be dealing with for the rest of his career with the Cowboys.
Pass is caught. The newcomer, Torrey Smith, with a big first down inside the 25.
Well, if your name was not Jarius Wright, this is the first reception by the other wide receivers, and Torrey Smith is able to get inside. The Cowboys secondary has bottled up these receivers. They haven't got a lot out of the passing game, but a nice game there.
On first down, Newton throws, pass is caught, and there is Jarius Wright again. With just over a minute left in the half, an 8-yard gain. Torrey Smith is on his 4th team over the last 5 years. Baltimore, San Francisco, Philly, now Carolina. Has won 2 Super Bowls. Including last year with the Eagles. Newton keeps, pass incomplete for Funchess, and a flag is down.
Personal foul, face mask, number 67, offense, 15-yard penalty, still second down.
5-time Pro Bowl center Ryan Khalil guilty with a face mask.
Yeah, you got second and short, and it'd be third and short with the incompletion, but instead they're going to be backed up. Ryan Khalil, you talked about him and the great career that he has had, but there's a hold there on Ross in the middle, right on the face mask. It's a good call there by the officials catching that.
Panthers were the least penalized team a year ago. They've already got 5 penalties in this half alone. So they're average just over 5 per game in 2017.
Well, they finally were able to get Carolina backed up and see if they're able to make a stop.
McCaffrey slipped one tackle and another. And the number 8 overall pick from a year ago with a big gain. Short of a first down, but he got 14.
They say that he's able to get past Sean Lee. Sean Lee reads it right away, but you know, because of how McCaffrey works back into the ball, he eliminates the angle, makes it awfully tough on Lee to be able to make a play. And McCaffrey is awfully slippery once he gets the ball in his hands, and now they turn it back into a very manageable third down, which is what they had prior to the penalty on Khalil.
Dorrance Armstrong, a rookie from KU, missed a tackle on that play as well. And a timeout called by the sideline of the Panthers with the play clock winding down. I want to see Kurt Menefee. Here he is with what's coming up at the half.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, the Chiefs try to knock off the Chargers in Los Angeles. The Steelers and Browns go to overtime, and the Saints and Bucks have a wild shootout in the Big Easy. It's all next on the Visa Halftime.
All right, Happy New Year to the guys back in the studio as well. This will be a third down and 3. Ezekiel Elliott has had a frustrating half of football. 7 carries, 18 yards. Can't find anywhere to go against this Panther D.
No, they've been tough, but I think if you look at this defensively for the Dallas Cowboys, they had held up pretty well. They'd given up some big points. They allowed some drives. They got a takeaway early, but they'd only given up 7 points. And, you know, if you're going to be a great defense, they got this ball backed up, and you've got to be able to make key stops at critical moments in the game. And
here's McCaffrey. Good throw. Good stretch. First down. And out of bounds to stop the clock with 29 seconds left. That was a good throw from Newton.
Yeah, it was a good throw, and I was waiting to see exactly where the spot was, but they got it. And you know, these are the types of things that Cam will continue to do within this offense. Get the ball out quickly, especially a guy like McCaffrey. And the concept with most of the throws within this scheme is get the ball to the receivers in a position where they can continue to run with the ball after the catch. That ball was a little on his back shoulder if you're really nitpicking it, but he didn't have to break stride. If that was a ball that was behind him, he doesn't pick up that first down.
You could see the shoulder of McCaffrey hit inbounds on the tackle, so Carolina had to use their last timeout. 30 seconds left. First down. Should be a free 5. Lawrence was guilty, wasn't alone.
Neutral zone infraction number 90. Defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Rod Marinelli, the defensive coordinator, and Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, are going to have a lot to say in the locker room at the half.
They got to clean up a lot of stuff. I'll tell you, the group, though, as I said, defensively for the Cowboys, that's played well is the secondary.
Newton is still up. Unbelievable. Avoided the sack, but now the clock continues to wind.
No timeouts. They've got to move. Looks like Cam's just going to maybe take one shot here and clock it.
My question would be, what was he waiting for there?
Yeah, I thought that they weren't quite prepared is the problem, Joe. I think Cam could have, he had time to take a shot to the end zone, and with no timeouts, it's either a score or it's incomplete, and he just didn't feel comfortable with that. And I don't think Ron Rivera was saying in his ear, all right, let it run down, we'll clock it and just settle for the 3 points. But nevertheless, a good drive by them, moving the football with an opportunity to extend the score, and then the fact that they get the ball to open the second half.
27-yard try. The problem for Newton and the Panthers, that was second down, so they had a chance to clock it, have another shot at the end zone, and then kick it. Instead, they kick it on third down, and with 3 seconds left, because they had to use that final timeout, it's a 10-0 game.
I think that's what happens. That's, even at second down, when you let it run down to that point, you start getting real nervous about, how's the guy going to react? Is he going to scramble? You're going to run out of time, and it's a decision that the head coach has to make. Ron obviously decided that he was going to take what would be, for the most part, a sure 3.
That said, Cam's an 8-year pro. He should be able to handle that situation by now. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys reimagined offense. No Dez, no Witten. They have 6 receptions in the half, 46 yards. They have 4 first downs and 61 total yards. This has been a whiff through the first half.
And they haven't converted a third down, and the big reason for that is they face so many third and longs. And I still think they need to get the ball out and try to take advantage of some of these looks that they're getting from Carolina defensively. We knew coming in it was going to be tough for them to run the football against this defense, and that's proven to be true.
Cowboys did not run a play in the half inside Carolina territory, and they've been penalized for 60 yards. So the Visa halftime report coming up with Kurt Terry, Howie Michael, and Tony will be in the studio. Neil downtime in a 10-point game. So while they head off to the locker rooms to talk it over, we'll give you the play of the first half. Brought to you by Swiffer. Let me guess. It's number 1. Fake the handoff. Walk it in. The only touchdown of the half. 10-0 Carolina on top. Career touchdown rushing number 55 for Cam Newton. And we'll step aside. Visa halftime is coming your way. 10-0 Panthers on top. See you in a bit. That was today's game flow, brought to you by Progressive. 1 half of play in the books for these two teams, and the home team, the Carolina Panthers, playoff team from a year ago, leading by 10. Panthers will start this half with the football. Here are the stats through the first half, and for Carolina, the rush yards, you see the 107. The bulk of that belongs to Cam Newton, who galloped for 64 yards in the game's only touchdown.
Well, you always kind of wonder what the conditioning is going to be like. Week 1, guys playing for an extended period of time. The Cowboys defensively were on the field for 35 plays versus Carolina with just 22 defensive snaps. Now they have to come right back out to start this second half and play defense and see if they can give their offense a chance to climb back into this ball game. But see what kind of adjustments they made on the offensive side of the ball.
That is the first kickoff by Brett Maher, the new kicker for the Cowboys, out of the back of the end zone, and here's Aaron Andrews. Another problem with her wireless mic, so we'll go back to Aaron and find out what she learned after halftime from these two coaches as we watch Cam Newton. Heisman Trophy winner, NFL MVP. An overall record of 62, 45, and 1 as a starter in the NFL. From the 25. Cam to McCaffrey. First down. Run around Damian Wilson. Aaron, is the microphone working?
She's a working, Joe Buck, and this Cowboys defense needs to get working too. According to Jason Garrett, he said, look, we knew Cam Newton would be a factor. We knew he'd get going, but right now this is just absolutely hurting us. Got to make a stop, as Troy said earlier, especially on third down in the red zone. Going to be hard, though, because Randy Gregory in the locker room getting his head checked for the offense. He said, we just got to get something going.
Right now, it's Cam Newton, fresh off that first down throw to McCaffrey. Here's Anderson. And C.J. Anderson, sixth-year pro out of Cal, gets 9.
Well, Carolina, the last 2 snaps, they've gone with 2 tight end packages. They wanted to go play action and take a shot down the field on first down. The Cowboys, as I said, in the secondary, they are really doing a good job, and they're forcing Cam Newton to check it down. They come back, run the same action, run the ball, and they blocked it up awfully well.
See if that was Woods coming across. If it is, it's a first down and yet another penalty for Jason Garrett's team.
Encroachment, number 99, defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So add another 7 penalties, 65 yards for the Cowboys.
Well, it's just been sloppy football. Some of that's to be expected. You know, the football overall has probably deteriorated a little bit just because of the amount of practice time that they no longer get compared to what they once did.
It's Manhertz in the backfield in front of McCaffrey. There's McCaffrey, and almost made a one-handed grab, and almost, with that effort, handed the ball to Jeff Heath. Second and 10.
Yeah, what North Turner is wanting to do is isolate here on Sean Lee. They want to get this guy across the field, and they want to try to take a shot on a deep crossing route. But the Cowboys have taken it away. They've taken it away several times, and it's forced Newton to come down to his checkdowns, which is okay. He just got to do it a little bit quicker, and he has been errant on some of these underneath throws that haven't been where they needed to be. He had a tight end that was running across the opposite way, but it wasn't part of his progression.
Second down. Here's the rookie Ian Thomas, and he is wrapped up. Good play by Kayvon Frazier. A loss of 3, and with that play, it'll be 3rd and 13. Frazier's playing for the injured Xavier Woods, who's out with a hamstring strain. We talked about Earl Thomas, the 29-year-old safety. Reported the Cowboys have upped their offer to a second-round pick for Earl Thomas, who's from Texas, who wants to be a Cowboy, whose contract is ending in Seattle. 6-time Pro Bowler and the best center fielder, so to speak, at that position for a long time in the NFL. He's playing today for Seattle. On third down, Newton is ripped to the ground. And the Cowboy defense makes a play. That's Malik Collins.
Well, Malik Collins, he does a great job of penetrating that offensive front. Good coverage in the back end, but Malik Collins, who missed all of preseason, with a foot injury, he is able to split the gap between the center and the guard, and Cam Newton just did not have much of a chance.
Collins played with a fractured foot last year, had off-season surgery, had no sacks over the last 13 games. Gets one here in the open. Austin with a fair catch. On America's Game of the Week, Newton and the Panthers stopped Dallas with the ball down 10. Aerial coverage brought to you by State Farm as the crowd makes some noise with the Cowboys backed up. They've been backed up all game trying to get something going. Down by 10, first possession of the second half.
Well, Carolina, as you would expect, as they have been, they're loaded up for the run. They're going to have to be able to block these guys up at some point and take advantage of some of these looks with these wide receivers.
Here is Elliott. So far, not doing anything, and he doesn't have much room here. A gain of 2. Knocked down by Denoris Searcy, a free agent addition from Tennessee. And now the starting safety. That is a terrible sight for the Carolina Panthers and their fans. This was early in the game. You see him step his right foot on the right foot of Kayvon Frazier, and he's got a boot on the right foot.
It does not look good, and we hate it. We're a big fan of Greg Olson's, and I visited with him yesterday. He said no issues with the foot. It's the best it's felt in so long and ready to roll. It's a shame.
Second down and 8. Prescott with protection. Flag in the secondary. And the pass is caught on the first catch for Allen Hurns in his first game with Dallas.
They had the right idea. I think this is going to go against Carolina. Carolina had a too deep look in the secondary. Dallas trying to get a 2-on-1 fast break down the field. And where Dak was wanting to go on the outside, it looked to me like the corner was
prior to the pass. Illegal contact number 26. Defense, the penalty is declined. Result of the play is completed pass for a first down.
There's Dante Jackson, the rookie, and you see the penalty there, but Prescott was able to keep the play alive and make a play, and pretty good protection that time for Dak. But once Jackson got the hold, it threw the timing of it all.
Longest play of the game for Dallas, 20 yards to Hurns. Previous long was 11.
He's checking because of the look that Carolina just showed, changing, trying to disguise coverage.
Good protection again, and the pass is behind Cole Beasley.
He's just aiming. That's not good right there. I don't know. You know, it is awfully humid. The ball's slick. You can make a lot of excuses, but Cole Beasley, he sits it down and you just put it on him. I think he made the right check. There was not going to be much down the field. You got to work the inside guys, and he just is pressing right now, pulling the trigger.
Second down and 10. Side, cuts it upfield, and there's his best of the day. First down, Dallas. Searcy on the stop, but a 17-yard carry for number 21.
Well, you're going to see the center, Joe Looney, and right guard Zach Martin. They pull out, and Ezekiel Elliott, he sees the flow and then the crease, and he hits it. It shows his quickness going north and south. That's one of the few spots he's had to run today.
Had 20 yards over his first 8 runs. That one for 17. Prescott, good protection again. Takes off and slides with a nice game. For the Cowboys, this is what they accomplished or didn't in the first half. First time with no plays in the opponent's territory in the first half since week 17 of 2002. That is PA, post Aikman.
Well, hey, the decision was made, as we talked about at the top of the game, that they were going to rest players, and it has shown. I mean, through the preseason, the lack of time, they're playing an awfully good defense, but a lot of fundamental things they just haven't executed.
Trying to get Ezekiel Elliott established. He gets 2 here, so 3rd and short coming up. There's Julius Peppers, the ageless wonder. A 9-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, number 4 on the all-time sack list, played the run. He's got 154 and a half in his Hall of Fame career.
Well, 10 of his 16 years, he has had double-digit sacks. And last year, for him to do what he did on limited snaps, pretty remarkable, the athlete that he is.
He's 38. It's 3rd and 3. Blitz. Cowboys pick it up. Flag is thrown. Prescott has to throw it away.
Flag is going to be interesting. You know, Ezekiel Elliott came up and I thought made a nice block on Shaq Thompson.
It looked like the indication is against Dallas for a chop. And they discuss it. That was a 3rd down play,
There's
by the
no
way.
foul for an illegal chop block. Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. It's 4th down.
Either way, it's 4th down, and the Cowboys are now 0 for 6 on 3rd down and have to punt it here. Here it is.
Well, you asked if Ezekiel Elliott is a good blocker. I mean, that's really good, taking on Shaq Thompson, and it looked like that's where the flag came in. I think they did a good job of getting together as the officials and picking that up. Not that it helped the Cowboys any, but another punt now for Chris Jones. Good news is for Dallas, he's awfully good at pinning the ball inside the 20, and maybe they can back this inside the 10.
Hangs it high, and a fair catch for DJ Moore. The rookie hauls it in near the 15. 31-yard punt. Panthers get it back, leading by 10 with 8:16 left in the 3rd. It is NFL kickoff weekend 2018. Great place to be. Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the Carolina Panthers, who lead by 10. From the 15, McCaffrey gets it. Dancing around, and Sean Lee sticks his head in there. Wasn't alone, a gain of just 2.
You look at this game, Joe, and you know what's kind of happened here. 10-0, of course. The Panthers have done some nice things offensively. They've moved the ball, and in Dallas, this defense, there was talk coming in as to whether or not they could carry the load for this team, and I think overall they've probably done a pretty good job in this game. The secondary, a lot of question marks coming in about Awuzie and Byron Jones. How was he going to handle the new scheme and what all they could do? And I think they've played very well.
Here's Wilson, can't bring McCaffrey down, but slowed him up. 3rd down coming up as McCaffrey got to the 20.
Well, this is one of those offenses that, when you're able to string plays together and you start to wear down a defense, and the defense just, at least the Dallas Cowboys were able to move the ball a little bit offensively there, but to allow them to rest and get some time to regroup, and there hasn't been a lot of that. You see them starting to get fatigued a little bit.
3rd down and 5.
We go hit Kansas. Let's go. Kansas. We go. Set up. We go cross key right. Lizard. Coffee. Set up.
Blitz coming from Dallas. Pass is low and incomplete. Dallas is loaded at linebacker and up front on the defensive line. These linebackers have been busy and active.
Yeah, well, they are, and they're an active group, and I like what they've done with them. You see Crawford, he gets free. He's in the face of Cam Newton, and I think the design offensively there was really good. They're trying to run crossing routes, anticipating man coverage. They got it. But, again, the corners were all over these receivers and just not really giving them any separation whatsoever.
Pilardi will punt. Good one. Tavon Austin, who's had a fumbling problem returning punts, has a wall far side. And a pretty good return. Ian Thomas on the tackle after a 15-yard return. Cam and the Panthers lead by 10. Well, the sun's out, the rain is falling, hence a rainbow. Right? Isn't that how that happens?
That's how it works. Hey, this is the best field position Dallas has had offensively, and they go empty set, but a lot of guys like to take shots here at midfield at a change of possession with good field position, and it's time for one from Dallas.
And they protect over the middle. Beasley, good throw that time from Prescott, who's been a bit inaccurate, especially with Beasley on the other end, and that's good for 10.
It hasn't been as sharp, and obviously that was one of the emphasis this offseason was some of the mechanics and being accurate with the ball and how he was being graded on every single throw. But he has been off on several throws today.
Prescott trying to get outside and just has to throw it into the turf. It was a change that was made at the end of preseason, and the Cowboys stick with it as Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator, is upstairs. We're used to seeing Scott Linehan as offensive coordinator down on the field, but he can talk directly to Dak Prescott from up in the booth on that headset.
Yeah, it's something, as you said, that happened in the last preseason game. He's used to being down on the field. He was when he was with the Lions as the offensive coordinator. He has been here with the Cowboys, so a different vantage point for him. We're not certain why the change was made and what led to it. So far, it hadn't worked.
2nd and 10, nothing there, and Prescott is brought to the ground. No gain. Wes Horton and Mario Addison there for the stop, and here are the pieces that are no longer here for the Cowboys. Jason Witten, the great tight end, retired. Des Bryant released. He's still a free agent. Dan Bailey is cut, and the new kicker, Brett Maher, has not been a factor yet. And again, don't underestimate the loss of Travis Frederick at center, out with Guillain-Barré syndrome. They don't know when or if he'll come back. 3rd down and 10. Prescott wide open. Beasley, first down inside the 30. Beasley, who had a down year last year, gets 16 on 3rd and 10.
Well, and when you play Beasley like that in the zone and he's able to find the hole within it and work back to the quarterback, that should be an easy completion, and it was. And last year they took him away with a lot of double teams.
Flag on the play, an injury, and a carry by Elliott. That was the Cowboys' first 3rd down conversion. And you see a player is down, and that's Vernon Butler.
Holding, number 71, offense, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Now they get Lyle Collins for a hold. And Butler can't get up.
Well, here's Lyle Collins, number 71. I don't know about that one.
It did lead to an injury, however. Vernon Butler. They check him. We'll take a break. Looks like Vernon Butler, who the Panthers are still waiting to flash as a 1st-round pick back in 2016's okay. Holding was the call. Prescott keeps. Fakes the throw and now slides short of the 35. Well defended there on 1st down and 20 by this Carolina defense.
Yeah, I've talked about the Cowboys secondary, this group for Carolina, they've done a good job as well. And you know, we talked about it. Hey, they're without Dez Bryant. Dez had a tough year last year without Witten, but who's going to be the workhorse for this offense in the receiving corps? So far, it's nobody. They've got a lot of depth. Heard a lot of talk in the offseason about how creative things were going to be with Tavon Austin and trying to work Gallup in, and Allen Hurns, and of course Beasley, and I've not seen any creativity.
2nd and 18. Pass is caught by Terrence Williams, who had kind of an odd year last year. Had over 580 receiving yards, no touchdowns. Good for 7. 3rd and long coming up.
Terrence Williams, after those guys I talked about, Bryant and Witten being gone, he's the leading receiver that's returned to this season, and he missed just about the entire offseason because of foot surgery himself. But this simply looks like an offense that didn't play much in the preseason.
Smith and Elliott back there with Dak Prescott on 3rd and 11. Out on the edge, Elliott is brought down, and what a big tackle made. I believe it was Adams who's slow to get up, and if Adams doesn't make that stop, Elliott's got a lot of room out there on that far sideline.
Well, initially I thought Mike Adams was going to just blow him up. I mean, he had a full head of steam when Elliott was catching the ball, and then, as you said, I mean, if he doesn't get him, that's off to the races.
Any pressure on Brett Maher, the new kicker, 28-year-old rookie.
I guarantee he's feeling every bit of it too.
47-yard try replacing Dan Bailey. 2nd most accurate kicker in NFL history. Good snap, good hold. Maher is no good. So the new pieces are not working to this point. We'll be right back after this short message. Like in some organizations, the kicker's kind of the afterthought. Well, they're not an afterthought when they miss key field goals when you need them most. And Brett Maher is now 0 for 1 in the NFL after performing in the Canadian Football League. You see plenty of leg, but wide right. On 1st down, pass is behind Funchess, but caught. And a nice grab by number 17 for 15 yards.
Yeah, this is a staple within this offense, called the 6 route. A little square in there at 18 yards. You'd obviously like to be able to make a little better throw, but they're able to get a completion there to Funchess. And, you know, if you're going to look at the Panthers receiving corps, they don't really have a true number 1 either. And if there is one, it would be Funchess, who really came on last year after they traded Kelvin Benjamin.
Newton, option, flip to McCaffrey. Good play, 1st down. Aaron Jones on the stop after a carry of 15.
Well, once again, they get caught, and they're not able to contain Tyree Robinson. He should have had the pitch man. Jalen Smith, he was in a position to make a play on Cam, and they just get confused on assignment and creates a big play.
There's Norv Turner, the offensive coordinator, 66 years old. Been in the NFL since the mid-'80s. Won 2 Super Bowls for the Dallas Cowboys. C.J. Anderson. Inches inside the 30. And you've said publicly before that you don't know, and it's hard to quantify, but you don't know if the Cowboys win those 2 Super Bowls if you don't have Norv Turner coordinating your offense.
Hey, Jimmy Johnson was great. In my opinion, he should be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think Michael Irvin, myself, and Emmitt Smith and the others would have made it to Canton, Ohio if it weren't for Norv Turner, and we wouldn't have won any of those Super Bowls. He came in at a time that we were the worst in the National Football League offensively, and within a year we were winning 11 games and winning Super Bowls, and he's a terrific coach. He's meant everything to my career and to a lot of other people around this league.
2nd and 6. The pass is caught. Funchess again. And Newton fit it in there well.
They're starting to wear him down a little bit. You pound them, and then things start to kind of open up, and that's a good route by Devin Funchess. he's able to make a move. Byron Jones, who I've said he's played well. I think he's going to be a really good corner in this league, making the transition from safety. But Funchess just got to turn around. They got 3 plays.
Too many men on the field as the Panthers hurry it up. Flag is down. As it looked like big number 99, Antoine Woods, couldn't get off the field in time, and this defense has got to be tired. And there's Woods trying to get off. Can't do it.
Well, Rod Marinelli, I can assure you, you know, in talking with him,
number 99 defense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
In talking with him yesterday, how many times did we say, hey, you know, what's the threat of Cam Newton and the option in Greg Olsen and McCaffrey? And he said, it's not about them. It's not about them. It's about us. If we do our job and we play the way we can play and we're disciplined and we fly around, we'll be just fine. And, you know, the effort's been there, but they have just made a lot of mistakes. And he is really frustrated with what has happened.
That's the end of the third quarter. Carolina leading by 10 and marching in again. Maher came this close. He's 0 for 1, and the Cowboys still shut out through 3. It's first down and 5 after the penalty, which we'll show you again if we get a chance. Ball sitting at the 10. Anderson. C.J. Anderson. Just short of a touchdown inside the 1. Let's give you a replay first to C.J. Anderson in this run.
Yeah, this is good. They go with their 21 pony personnel, Anderson and McCaffrey. They split McCaffrey out from the backfield, and then they run the read option with C.J. Anderson. He's reading off of the linebacker, and just great execution down there by Cam Newton in this offense.
And just to clean up on Antoine Woods, you saw him sprinting off the field, so you think they have too many men. He ran off the field on the other side of the line of scrimmage. He was the 11th guy. They didn't have too many men, so he was offside. Hence the penalty. Now Arma. Touchdown.
I laugh, Joe. These fullbacks, they're rare around the NFL these days, and it's even more rare to see one of them get a carry. But every now and then, North Turner would sneak the ball into Darrell Moose Johnston for a touchdown down here, and he comes to Arma, and now the question is, did he cross? And it sure looks like from that angle he did. The fullback belly scores the touchdown for Carolina.
Another look at it. Looked like he crossed the plane with the knees still off the ground. And the 6th-round pick from West Georgia from a year ago as a souvenir from Week 1, 2018. This to make it 17-0. Bad snap. Pilardi in a position he wants no part of. And the punter ends up losing the ball. But it looked like a bad snap from J.J. Jansen. Yep, way wide. And so it's 16-0. Well, all of us at Fox Sports lost a good friend and a skilled camera operator. He's been with us since year 1, 1994. Covered the NFL. Got to see him during Major League Baseball and trips through the World Series. Tommy Skinner passed away recently. Born in 1969, so a tragic loss, and our thoughts with the Skinner family. And he'll be missed around the trucks and doing his job and doing it so well. Let's take another look at the snap from J.J. Jansen. Oh, Silatolu gets over there.
Yeah, it looked like it came off his leg. They don't practice that, folks. And, hey, how about this? I mean, the missed field goal, just to go back to that. It gives Carolina great field position. Instead of it being a 10-3 ball game, it's a 16-0 ball game. Carolina.
So right now a 2-possession game, which is all well and good, but that presupposes and becomes relevant if the Dallas Cowboys can move the football. They've only been able to do it in short flashes. And Dak Prescott will go back to work, and well, we detailed it with a lot of the changes that have happened on the offense around Dak Prescott. Same offensive coordinator. Not a good result so far week one.
No, there hasn't been really much for them to hang their hat on, and it shows that we all know they want to run the football and with Zeke Elliott, but if they can't do that, everyone loads up against them anyway, but they've got to be able to throw the ball, and quite frankly, I thought they would be able to do that against this Carolina secondary.
Prescott in trouble now. A flag with a coverage on Gallup. And the rookie was covered by another rookie, Dante Jackson. 2 flags flew. Let's see if it's 2 fouls or 2 flags for the same infraction.
Yeah, there it is right there. And
Pass interference, number 26, defense. First down at the spot of the foul.
Mike Pereira gives us a thumbs up here in the booth. He thinks it's a good call against Dante Jackson, who can fly, by the way. He's fast, but he's trying to play physical out there on the edge and got called for pass interference.
Yeah, and that's really kind of what he wants to do. He didn't play exclusively press coverage at LSU, but he played a lot of it. He likes being up in the receiver's face, you know, and playing that type of ball. And like you said, he can run with anybody in this league.
Elliott with rare daylight into Carolina territory. Shaq Thompson on the tackle in a run of 16.
The best runs that they've had in this game for the most part, the last 2 anyway, have been when they've been able to get Zach Martin and Joe Looney out in front and allow Ezekiel Elliott to find the crease and then hit it.
Elliott again left side to the 45. Got 4. Kyle Love on the stop.
We haven't talked much about Eric Washington, the defensive coordinator for Carolina, and the 3rd different defensive coordinator in the last 3 years. The last 2 got head coaching opportunities. Wilkes at Arizona last year and McDermott 2 years ago at Buffalo. Well, he's got this group playing awfully good. Of course, like I said earlier, a lot of these players back from last year have been in the system a long time.
Kuechly coming on a blitz. Pass is caught. We'll see where they mark Beasley down, a gain of 6. They're going to give him a first down. Here's Kurt with a game break.
Well, lots of changes going on for Seattle, but they still have Russell Wilson. Look at this play. Typical Wilson. Winds up throwing it 51 yards to Tyler Lockett. 24-20, Wilson's 3rd touchdown. Joe?
All right, Kurt, thanks. Cowboys hurry it up, and over the middle. Pass is caught by Elliott. Short gain of 2. Well, little traction here for the Cowboys. 2nd and 8.
They're picking the tempo up. There's still plenty of time, but they've picked it up and trying to get some kind of rhythm going.
Prescott, good move, finds an open receiver, Thompson. That was strong by Dak Prescott, out to his left. Avoided the rush, threw a strike for 13 yards.
Well, Prescott does a great job on that play. Initially, he's trying to throw the ball to the tight end, Jeff Swaim, and it looked like he was running in mud. And so he had to get off him and work back to his left and makes a nice throw.
Easy. Hey, it's over. I don't know, Dallas. We got it. We got it. 59.
And now from the sideline, Ron Rivera is going to use a timeout.
This is the first charge timeout, Carolina.
11:39 left in the game. Cowboys making noise. Well, we welcome you back to Bank of America Stadium in what is a 2-possession game. 52 yards on this drive. Dallas, their best drive of the game. Carolina down to 2 timeouts after having to take one a moment ago. Prescott can't find anywhere to go. Now he does with Beasley trying to make a move, and Kuechly says, Gain of 3.
They try to stack Beasley and give him a chance to roam. And there's some contact there by Kuechly as he's trying to get across, and it just there was enough time there initially for Prescott. It's just nowhere to go with the ball, and it's been a struggle to get anybody really loose.
10th tackle of the game for Kuechly. Here's Elliott. Hit in the backfield and back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. Kuechly was through there, and he was not alone. This is the previous play, and watch K'Wan Short collapse Dak Prescott and pull away so as to not draw a flag. And the Cowboys are now inches inside the red zone for the first time in the game. 3rd and 7. No one can get open. Prescott in trouble. Gets the edge in the first down.
Take a look at it and pretty much see kind of what Dak Prescott's looking at. And zone coverage, and they're just falling underneath all these throws. And that's, thank goodness you've got a guy like Dak Prescott who's able to break contain, and then that allowed some room before Shaq Thompson forces him out. But a big first down, and you start, you know, had they not have made it there, I think you got to start thinking, do you go for it? Do you kick the field goal? Is this 4-down territory? They're running out of time.
Here's Elliott down inside the 5. That 3rd down conversion was only the 2nd 3rd down conversion of the game, and Kuechly's slow to get up. And when you watch the Cowboys here in 2018, it's stating the obvious to say this is where they miss a guy like Jason Witten.
Well, they miss a guy like Witten, and they also miss Des Bryant. I mean, because he makes some miraculous catches down here, and like a basketball player going up. And, you know, Rico Gathers is a guy who's not active today. They thought he could be that guy, but there really is not another one. Allen Hurns has a little bit of size to him. Maybe he can body somebody up, but I like that last run they had.
Nice snap. Option, Elliott. Touchdown. And the Cowboys are going to go for 2.
Well, they come back and they give them their version of Cam Newton and the Carolina offense. They come down, you see the option there off the end, and then it's all Kuechly and an outstanding block on the edge by Allen Hurns, keeping the corner out of the play.
So now a 2-point try. In the effort to make it a 1-score game. With under 9 to go. And the Cowboys spread out the Panthers.
We do have the quarterback draw from this.
And here it is. And got it. Spread him out. And Prescott draws it. And a lunge for the 2 points. And he did break the plane. This is a 1-score game in Charlotte. Ezekiel Elliott is up to 69 yards, and now the first Cowboys touchdown of the season. It's an 8-point game. Elliott at 35 total yards, and the touchdown on that drive, 16-8. With a missed extra point by Carolina and a missed 47-yard field goal by Dallas, and the man Brett Maher just drove it out of the back of the end zone. Thursday, it's the Ravens and the Bengals on NFL Network, which we're excited for. But starting week 4, Thursday night football debuts right here on Fox, and our schedule is loaded. One huge can't miss matchup after another. Thursday night football on Fox starts week 4. Now it's a game. And we start with a really good matchup of the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Rams, the top scoring team in the NFL a year ago, and that good young offense.
Two teams that expect to be representing the NFC in the Super Bowl.
No doubt. Vikings won today. Rams play tomorrow against the Oakland Raiders. And John Gruden. Christian McCaffrey carries for 4.
That was a good start for Carolina. We got another guy down. It's like Darrell Williams, who, of course, he had the knee injury. A lot of people thought he was lost for the season when he's grabbing that knee, and most were surprised he was even able to get back and open the season here week 1. You see the hit right on the side of that knee.
So that stops the clock. Second down for the Panthers, who lead by 8 when we come back. Well, that says it all. Having to wait for the cart. Darrell Williams, free agent to be, a terrific tackle. Tore his MCL, dislocated his patella tendon in that right knee early in camp. Worked hard to get back here. Made the start at right tackle today. And now he'll have to be carted off. And who knows what that will lead to, as they've now lost Darrell Williams and their great tight end Greg Olsen in the same game.
Yeah, and the offensive line, as all Carolina Panthers fans know, been hit hard throughout training camp with injuries. And how was it all going to shake out? And the guy who has surprised them has been the play of Taylor Moton, who's at left tackle. But now you've got Silatolu, who coming off an injury of his own, and now he's going to be playing out there at right tackle. So they continue to shuffle things up here along that offensive line.
They put the tight end over to that side.
Yeah, that's smart. There's some help there on the edge.
Silatolu, and then to his right is the rookie Ian Thomas, 4th round pick from Indiana. 2nd and 6. Pressure, pass caught by McCaffrey, and he is down with a first down. A lot of pressure on Cam.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. And Taco Charlton, last year's #1 pick, he's the one who's able to make a move here. And he spins inside and then is right in the chest of Cam Newton, but not before he gets it out to McCaffrey.
Charlton, who ended the year with 3 sacks, got around Moton, but a step too late.
Well, if like we talked about with Randy Gregory and what his status is going to be moving forward is anybody's guess. But Taco Charlton, he's a guy, a lot of expectations, 1st round pick, to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. That was a good start for this year.
Newton just keeps it, nothing. Brought down behind the line of scrimmage by DeMarcus Lawrence. This is opportunity here for the Dallas Cowboys defense with this banged up offensive line.
Yeah, Silatolu, who's been working at guard, came into the season thinking he'd start at left guard. Now he's here at right tackle filling in for Darrell Williams. And look at the move then that DeMarcus Lawrence makes on him. You're used to being in where you have a tackle in the center next to you, in confined quarters, and all of a sudden you have to play in space as a tackle. It's a whole different ball game out there on the edge.
A loss of 2.
Especially when you're facing DeMarcus Lawrence.
Newton. McCaffrey, flag on the play. McCaffrey's 17th touch of the game. He made a move on Jalen Smith, but a flag is down, indication against Carolina.
Personal foul, chop block, number 72, offense. 15-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That's Moton.
Yeah, I'm not so sure it was as much a chop block as he loses his feet. Watch him right here. It's number 72. He gets off balance. He's just trying to make a block, and then he's trying to take 2 guys down at the same time, too, and a hold, and there's a lot there. Then it's just doing all you can to protect your quarterback.
Well, that makes it 2nd and 26. As Moton is guilty of that infraction, and the Panthers are not only injured on their offensive line, don't have Olsen, they're going backward, and this Dallas defense starting to smell some blood.
Well, yeah, and hey, the Cowboys coming into this feeling like they've got some guys who can put pressure on the quarterback off the edge, and with the game on the line, like I said before the end of that first half, if you're going to be considered a great defense, you got to make plays when the game's on the line. And right now, with 6.5 minutes to go, they need to make a stop. And the last 2 plays, the pass rushers, Charlton and then DeMarcus Lawrence come up big.
There was some frustration a moment ago in that offensive huddle for the Carolina Panthers. They have to use their second timeout. Early game headlines. What a game. We saw it down in the Big Easy. First, we'll talk about the Vikings and their win as Kirk Cousins, his first day in purple. And then that 88 total point day between the Saints and the Bucs, and then a win for the Jags as they survived a late flurry by the Giants to start 1-0. And there it is, 48-40, Tampa Bay over New Orleans, and that's the most in week 1 all time. 88 total points.
Yeah, unbelievable there.
And Fitzpatrick had 4 touchdowns, no picks. Playing for the suspended Jameis Winston. Suspended 3 games, by the way. 2nd and 26. Newton protected, pass to Funchess, and a nice completion to pick up some yardage. 12 yards on that one from Cam. 3rd and long.
Well, a lot of time in the pocket. Nobody gets near Cam Newton, and this is probably his best throw of the day. I mean, Sean Lee was in a perfect position to make a play on this ball. You see the arm strength by Cam, but that ball had to be right where it was on Funchess. Anything more to the outside, and Lee's all over that ball, and that was a big-time throw. But even with that, they're still looking at 3rd and 14.
Under 6 to play. Newton is in trouble, and down he goes. DeMarcus Lawrence. A loss of 7 to bring up 4th down.
One of these games by DeMarcus Lawrence where he comes inside and then bangs on the guard trying to free up someone else, but it creates a lane, and then he has a straight shot. The only chance that Cam Newton had was to come underneath to McCaffrey, but with 3rd and long, it wasn't going to be enough. He's trying to wait for something to get open down the field, and Dallas defensively makes a key stop at a big moment to give their offense a chance.
For Lawrence's first sack after 14 and a half a year ago. Good punt by Pilardi. At a key time. Tavon Austin can't stay in bounds. Knocked out near the 21. And now we'll welcome you inside our broadcast booth. And coming off that last possession, the Dallas Cowboys have to feel a little better right now with this down by 8 and a chance here late.
I think their defense has played well today. They've kept their offense in it when their offense was struggling. That could have very easily have gotten away from Dallas. And now they were able to get the running game going on that last possession and free up Ezekiel Elliott. I'll remind you, Carolina historically pretty good in these situations defensively and being able to make stops when they have to.
That punt by Pilardi nets 54 yards of field position. That was big. Beasley with a catch over the middle. And some room to run as he goes down at the 38. 17 yards from Dak Prescott.
Good design there. They tie up Luke Kuechly in the middle with the crossing route from the tight end. It opens up a lane for Beasley on the quick pass on the slant. They look nice.
Pass is caught. Deontay Thompson. And a gain of 7 on first down. A little better protection, more opportunity. And Thompson on the outside makes the catch, his second as a Cowboy.
A lot of time, but once they went to this hurry up and they're kind of, picking up the tempo on the last drive, and now here, they've been able to get some positive plays run.
Play action pass is caught for the first down. Thompson again. 27 catches last year for the Bills. That a career high for Deontay. Did not play in the preseason.
And by going with this, up-tempo, you keep Carolina from being able to substitute. That front 4 will start to tire out.
Blitz. Flag. Prescott is down. And brought to the ground by Wes Horton. The flag on the play. It's against Dallas.
Holding number 71, offense. That penalty has declined. It's second down.
So they'll decline it because of the sack as Lyle Collins. Another penalty for number 71.
Good call there by first-year defensive coordinator Eric Washington. They're starting to get some momentum, starting to complete some passes, move the football. He dials up Luke Kuechly and brings him. He's got a free shot on Prescott. Try to create some negative plays, and they do.
Under 3.5 to go, 2nd and 15. Here's Gallup and a drop, but a flag in the secondary. And this could be a big call if it's against Carolina.
They went man-to-man coverage in the secondary. Looked like
prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 29, defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's the big part. Instead of 3rd and 15, it's an automatic first down.
Yeah, they're going to get Mike Adams right here. Is who's called for the contact. They turn it loose. Adams was covering Blake Jarwin, but everybody was in man, and the rookie, Dante Jackson, he did not know it was man, and that's why he was as open as he was. That would have been a huge play.
Prescott brought down from behind. And a sack for Kawan Short. And this has the makings of an all-or-nothing drive now for the Cowboys as All-Pro center Travis Frederick can just watch from the sideline.
Well, that's where Kawan Short's had his success against Connor Williams, outside pass rush and not getting any help, and he's been beaten a couple times.
2nd and 18. Prescott was hit. The pass is short on Thompson. Now 2:46 left with Dallas down by 8. 3rd down and 18. And
he got hit again because Connor Williams, he struggled with the bull rush in the preseason. Here he is, number 52. Played tackle in college, and he gets driven right into the lap of Prescott.
3rd down and 18. Flag. Looks like another delay of game. It'll be the 2nd against Dallas.
Prior to the snap, delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
And now because they're so far back, because there's 2:46 left, you've got the 2-minute warning and 3 timeouts. If they don't get the first down here, as they've been going backward, you got to punt it.
No question. And then make a stop.
The shotgun. Prescott underneath for Elliott. And he's able to at least take it into Carolina territory. And Dak Prescott looks at the sideline as Luke Kuechly is down.
Remember, he had that off-season off-season shoulder surgery. He's been banged around. He's been slow getting up several times in this game. It's been a physical game for him.
Oh, man. We welcome in a new audience. You're seeing number 59, who is serenaded by the crowd here. Let's take another look. Luke Kuechly, and he's grabbing down low. Let's see what happened as he comes in from the right. And Kuechly needs help to get over to the sideline. He had the labrum surgery on the left shoulder. He's had concussions. This looks like a lower body injury.
Yeah, you didn't see his legs getting caught up there. You know, the first thing you worry about with all these guys is especially with his history, you start worrying about the head injuries. And the way he was laying there, I don't want to try to speculate. You're looking right here to see if his leg gets caught underneath. And it's hard to tell, but Well, I sure hope he's okay. He's one of the all-time greats.
4th down and 10 now. Cowboys will go for it. Prescott to the sideline. Pass incomplete for Thompson. And the Panthers will take over. Pressure by Julius Peppers as the ageless vet put the heat on Prescott.
The Cowboys make the decision to go for it on 4th and 10, and with their timeouts and not punt, pin them back down in there and trust that your defense can make a stop. And he had a chance. It would have been a good catch, but
well, that was a big roll of the dice there by Jason Garrett, going for it on 4th down and 10.
Yeah, when you have the timeouts, like we said, I fully expected him to punt. He's got one of the best punters at pinning people down in there, and trust that your defense can come up and make some plays and get the ball back. But
Anderson loses yardage.
we'll be talking about that one.
Yeah, Dallas will take a timeout. Here's a recap of the game if you're just joining us. Cam Newton's been running wild. Certainly had a big first half. Ran it in for a touchdown. Alex Arma, the fullback, got the second touchdown for Carolina. Ezekiel Elliott on an option and a toss from Dak Prescott. We've seen a missed extra point by Carolina, a missed field goal by Dallas, and their new kicker, Brett Maher. Huge injuries to Carolina with Olsen and Williams and now Kuechly.
Yeah, but keep in mind, the situation hasn't changed. Dallas still has to make a stop. They still get a chance to get the ball back if they're able to do that.
Newton keeps, and down he goes. The problem is, by not punting and having this happen deeper in the Carolina end, with anything resembling a good punt, you're going to be faced with a long field and no timeouts.
Well, they still got the 2-minute warning here. It forces Carolina to play right here. I mean, you can make you make a stop here, and then you've got one timeout left, and you got the ball in your hands with a little under 2 minutes to play. And that was the thinking by Garrett as far as why they went for it on 4th down. I'm a little surprised that Carolina has been as conservative as they've been here on these plays.
So let's see what happens on 3rd down and 11. And on which side of the 2-minute warning, Jason Garrett, depending on what happens, wants to use that final timeout. Newton in trouble, spins, stays in bounds, and with 2 minutes left, exactly, we'll have the 2-minute warning, and because of that, Dallas gets to keep a timeout. Still hope for Jason Garrett and the Cowboys as they trail by 8. Somehow on America's Game of the Week, this is still a one-possession game. One timeout now left for Dallas. They went for it on 4th and 10, got a quick stop. And here's the punt by Pilardi that will end up in the end zone. This would be a 9-point game had Gano hit the extra point. Without this, and the left leg of Mini Silatolu getting in the line of fire from J.J. Jansen on that snap on the extra point. So the Cowboys trail by a touchdown and a successful 2-point conversion.
And guess who returned to play this series defensively?
Luke Kuechly right in the middle of it. A minute 51 left and one timeout. Need to go 80 yards to have a chance. Prescott throws it away. If it's not the protection breaking down, nobody can get open downfield for the Cowboys on the outside.
Yeah, and that is the one area of this defense. Hard to run the football against, as we know. Hard to protect also, but I really thought they'd be able to take advantage of some things on the outside, and they just haven't.
So we welcome in yet another new audience, 2nd and 10 for Dallas, down 8. One timeout. Prescott flushed out again. And out of bounds with a gain of 3. Just nowhere to go with the ball.
No, and the other part of it is when Prescott, like here, when he's gotten outside the pocket, nobody's really done anything to free themselves up. And then you go into scramble drills, and you got to give your quarterback a place to go with the football, and that hasn't been where it needs to be either.
3rd down and 7. Four-man rush. Prescott pulls back out of there, ball's out. Addison with the pressure. And the Panthers have taken over. Munnerlyn on the recovery, but Mario Addison coming off a career year, chased down Prescott.
It's so good by Mario Addison, and where he started and where he ended up. Mario Addison is out here, and he's going to start from the right side. He runs a game. He's all the way then to the other side of the field and just keeps pursuing. And with a 4-man rush, and that's the beauty of the Carolina Panthers defense. They rotate these guys through and can get pressure on the quarterback with a 4-man rush, as they have throughout most of this game. And Mario Addison and the defensive front comes up big with the game on the line.
And in essence, will end this, barring something crazy. One timeout left, that's all. And the Cowboys use their final timeout. And congratulations to the new owner here with the Carolina Panthers, David Tepper. How proud he must be. 10 years, minority owner, had 5% of the Pittsburgh Steelers, his hometown team, stepped up, bought the Carolina Panthers, and looks like he and the Panthers will start this season 1-0. Addison has developed into some player. He's been in Chicago, into Washington, 20.5 sacks coming in over the previous 2 years. And congratulations to Eric Washington, the defensive coordinator. And his first year calling the signals for Ron Rivera on the defense. His guys played well.
They sure did. Eric Washington really called a great defensive game plan. And the numbers don't look terrible for Ezekiel Elliott, but short of a couple runs, they really kept him bottled up. And only the 5th time in Ezekiel Elliott's career has he had less than 20 carries in a ball game. There just wasn't a lot of places to run, and there wasn't anywhere for Prescott to go with the football.
It was an expensive victory for Carolina, losing Greg Olsen. Looks like they've lost their right tackle for at least the short term. Didn't look good for Darrell Williams when he was carted off. Those are 2 big pieces. As Cam Newton gets this crowd making more noise as the play clock winds down.
Delay of game.
They'll take the penalty.
Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down. 43.
I think Cam was I think Ron Rivera was wanting Cam to get out there and snap the ball.
This can be it.
Hey, hold on.
And Ron Rivera, who is the 2-time Coach of the Year, he will be 9 wins short of being the all-time Carolina Panthers winningest head coach. And that clock started late.
It did start late.
Either way, this game's over. And a nice day for the Panthers in their division. Saints lost today. Atlanta lost on Thursday. Tampa Bay won. They won an impressive effort at New Orleans. But number one is 1-0. And he just keeps getting it done. The OT coming up next. It's presented by Lowe's. Panthers win this one by 8.